Justice League of America by Steve Orlando is the review for today. I picked these up from the library because I like Steve Orlando. He wrote, I think, Midnighter, really great series, and also Midnighter and Apollo, the miniseries. He also took over for Supergirl because the Rebirth Supergirl kind of sucks. Just read the volume of that one. It was okay. Anyways, Justice League of America, I have to pitch it because a lot of people don't know. The Justice League is usually like, everyone knows who the Justice League is. It's like the big shots, you know, like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, etc. They're the ones that take on like big alien threats, you know, giant, you know, large, you know, aliens or, you know, evil dictators, aliens, things like that. However, the Justice League of America, they're a bit different. They're like a smaller group of sort of underdogs, and in the New 52, I believe it was Steve Trevor who led them, and it was usually a mix of heroes and villains. Sometimes the villains, they're working in a sort of Suicide Squad type deal where, you know, they commute their sentence. If they work for the Justice League, they work for the government basically. And so Justice League of America is a series that I haven't really like explored a lot. But I read a couple volumes of the New 52. This is the Rebirth version. And this version, Batman is the leader. And he's taken over and he's recruited Killer Frost, who's now just called Frost. She's able to fix her heat sort of sickness thing that makes her kill people. So she's on the road to redemption. They cover that over. Also on there, they need some fighters. So they got Black Canary. Black Canary in this version is dating, I think, Green Arrow, but she's also a rock star. She used to be a rock star in the New 52. I don't know if they still do that. Other than that, there's also Mary McCabe. There's Vixen, one of the coolest. I love Vixen. There's also Ray Terrell, the Ray. He is the one who can create light constructs. I've seen him on a TV show, but he's also got a bit of usage. There's also Ryan Choi, is the new Atom. He's looking for Professor Palmer, who's gone missing. And everyone's favorite, Lobo. Lobo has made a deal with Batman, and they explore all of these different characters in this story. So the first volume is called The Extremists. It's because they are going up against Lord Havok and the Extremists. They come from another universe, I believe, and they've failed in saving their planet. They wish to destroy willpower on Earth in order to save our planet. So Lord Havok has his powerful army, and he's already attacked a random country, and Batman and the Justice League have just assembled. Justice League of America have just assembled, and they fight them. What I really like about Steve Orlando is that he creates a lot of new villains, or if he doesn't, he repurposes an old villain in a new way. And that's something that a comic book sort of a writer should have in their arsenal. They need to be willing to create a new threat, something that hasn't been seen before that they can bend to their will, or at least give us a reiteration of an old villain in a cool way. For example, Steve Orlando had Midnighter. He's not just a guy who fights anymore, but he's got a fight computer put in his mind because he was created by aliens. Or he wasn't created, but he was modified by aliens. So one of the villains he goes up against is Prometheus, someone else who has a fight computer in their brain. They've never fought before in the comics, but in the Midnighter series that I read, it's interesting to watch these two go up against each other because they both have a fight computer in their head. So Steve Orlando writes big concepts, big epic storylines. The Extremists arc lasts for a few, I think like 3 or 4 issues. And then the last 2 is another story involving a small town that has been overtaken by a Olympic themed villain who creates futuristic weapons. So a lot of action, a lot of cool moments. I really like how all of the characters have a little bit to do. Ryan Choi, the new Atom, is helping Frost with her heat sickness because they're trying to find a cure. Meanwhile, Lobo keeps mentioning this deal he's made with Batman. Batman has promised him something, but we don't know what. There's also Vixen and Black Canary don't exactly trust Batman. You know, he's Batman. And then the Ray, he's also a sort of optimist, so he sort of clashes with Batman's ideology all the time. So combine all this with, these are mostly underused characters. I mean, none of these characters have their own series. I mean, they've probably had their own series before, but it's interesting to see them all together sort of like throwing a bunch of characters together and seeing how they, react. So the first volume was really strong, and I really enjoyed it. The second volume is called Curse of the Kingbutcher. It is a story, starts off with a story where a young boy is rescued from Dinosaur Valley. It's this sort of hidden magnetic cloud, sort of lost world sort of scenario in which these robots are attacking this caveman-like boy who's been there for 30 years. So he's able to return and reclaim a massive fortune of Hamilton Court, and we find out a sinister secret that this caveman-like person is hatching. The second half is the Curse of the Kingbutcher storyline, which is what this trade paperback is named after. There is this sort of magic force that is giving people wishes, and however, the Kingbutcher shows up with his giant axe and he destroys any wishes that are granted. So this one guy wishes for his fibromyalgia to disappear. Kingbutcher shows up and pretty much cuts him in half because he wished for his life to be saved, and the Kingbutcher is destroying people's dreams. So they go up against another big villain and really high stakes action. I really like how they also leave little nuggets of cliffhangers for future storylines. At the end of the first volume of the Extremists, there's this new character thrown in who's shown not to be dead. And at the end of this volume, Curse of the Kingbutcher, we find out the Kingbutcher is actually working for someone else. So they're definitely setting up future storylines, will keep you engaged with high concept storylines, interesting new original villains, or at least repurposed old ones that we haven't seen in a while. So Justice League of America by Steve Orlando is fantastic so far. It feels like a big budget TV show you're reading, so I definitely will continue reading, and I might even buy them in the future.